And we are live. What's good, people? It's your man, DL Saint. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. Happy Monday to y'all, man. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let's put that on here. We're going to do what I always do. We're going to check to make sure that I am broadcasting properly. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. Here it is. Just want to listen. Give myself a listen, see what it sounds like. You know, see if make sure everything is going the way it's going. I hope you had a good weekend. Looks like we are good. Audio is nice. Hope y'all had a good weekend. Welcome. This is part one of a two-parter right here. And we're definitely going to be talking about the family court system that we have here in this country. And, you know, everyone knows, anyone who's had anything to do with the family court system, anyone who's kind of watched what's going on or, you know, watched anyone go through this, they know that, you know, the system is flawed. It's flawed just to keep it, you know what I mean? Just to keep it nice. I'm trying to start Monday off good. I ain't trying to go in too hard, but we know we got problems with it. We got problems. I mean, YouTube and the manosphere and like the red pill world, the blue pill world, they all talk about relationships. Men and women are talking about relationships. People are talking about marriage. I've done a couple shows on that with Suzette Speaks. Shout out to her. We did a show. In fact, it was called "Is Marriage Dead?" Go check that out. It's a pretty decent show. It was a good show to be honest with you. And we were talking about it. And it just seems to me that there's so much talk right now. All the red meat on YouTube right now is about relationships. Sister Candace, good afternoon. What's up, love? How you doing? Welcome. Man, and Sister Candace, I was down in Miami over the weekend. It was a good time. Didn't get a chance to catch up with our people, and they are off to the UK now. But I was down there networking and doing some other things. I ain't gonna lie to you. I am a big fan of, I'm a huge fan of Miami. I can't lie to you. Sister Jenny, what's good? Welcome. You know what? And I just got back. You know, I promised you a wrench, and I can't do it on StreamYard. I have to do it when I'm off of StreamYard, just on YouTube. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to make sure I get you wrenched up because I see you out here working hard. Thanks for coming through. Happy afternoon to you. Happy Monday. I'm glad y'all here too. You notice I dropped a link in there. I'm really going to try and encourage to get people on here to talk about this because I really want to talk about our family court system with respect to custody and how that affects men, how that affects children. I did find a couple things online. I found a video and I found an article that was pretty interesting. I'm definitely going to pull that up. And the reason I'm doing this is I was on the What We Know podcast. I think it was Thursday night, Wednesday or Thursday night. And, you know, we're all on that side of YouTube. I'm new to that side of YouTube. You know, and I've been welcomed into that circle. It's like family over there. So, you know, shout out to What We Know podcast. Shout out to Black Man Unfiltered Network and all the players over there. And we were talking on this subject, and I suggested that the platforms that were present, we were having this conversation that we each dedicate one show a week to this topic. And if we get, you know, 4 platforms to engage in this, that will definitely once a week someone's talking about this topic, and we can just continue this, you know, and get more platforms involved and just kind of, let's get the conversation started, not just in Black YouTube, but let's get this started across the board. This particular issue, of all the issues that are out there, this is the one issue that crosses every boundary politically. I mean, you know, red, blue, you know, conservative, liberal, independent, it doesn't matter. Communist, you know what I mean? Like whatever you are, socialist, it does not matter. This topic right here hits home. This one right here. And you know, we live in a country where most of us, especially depending on when you were born, but I would like to believe that most of us believe in equality and fairness and justice. That's what we believe. And I get it. There's all kind of issues with that, but we were raised a certain way. I know I was raised that way, and I understand that, to the point where if I'm out there doing something wrong, I know I'm doing wrong. The problem comes in when folks are doing wrong and they believe they are right for one reason or another. And this is something that just has to, we got to change. We got to do something about it. So, so it's okay. What are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about custody issues and when you have to go to court. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Like when you have to go to court. And, I had this set up. I wanted to share something on the screen, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to change it. I'm going to bring up something else. And here it is right here. This is something that, I just kind of stumbled across, and I want to bring this up, make it a little bigger so folks can see it. It's going to be a lot of ads on here. Sorry, y'all. It is what it is. Can't get past it. That's how they make their money. You know what I mean? That's how they make their money. So, I found this. This is on Legal Jobs. It's the website. It's a blog, and it's titled 35 Divisive Child Custody Statistics, which I thought was pretty cool. The information is pretty cool. Like I said, there's going to be a ton of ads on here, y'all, and it's really hard to get past these ads, but that's how they make their money. I mean, it's just really hard to drop a lot of these ads off, but it is, it is what it is. So some of these topics right here, and there we go. What's good, fam? I see you made it. I was just shouting y'all out. You know what I mean? JT's in the house, What We Know podcast. You know what I mean? This is What We Know. Rob, much love and respect, bro. What's good, Rob? Welcome. I'm glad you stopped in. You know what I mean? We're going to talk a little bit about this. Like I said, man, I'm down for the cause, bro. This conversation needs to be had, and it needs to be had in every community in America across the board. This is just wrong. You know what I mean? When you boil down to it. You know what I mean? So I wanted to go over a couple of these topics that they had on here, and then there's a video that I was able to find. In 51% of child custody cases, both parents agree for the mother to be the custodial parent. That kind of, when I saw that, I'm like, I think what they're not mentioning is the court forces the parents to choose a custodial parent. Someone has to be named custodial parent. So the way I read this is 51% of the time, couples will agree that mom will be the custodial parent, which basically half the time, which means the other half of the time they'll agree that dad is going to be the custodial parent. That's the way I read that. In just over half of child custody battles, the parents come to a mutual agreement for the mother to be the child or children's custodial parent. 29% of these decisions were made without a mediator or the court. 11% required a mediator. 5% of the decisions were determined after a thorough custody evaluation, and 4% were settled in court. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. Like it, it just is what it is. You know what I mean? It just is. So I thought that was I looked at that and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But the takeaway from that is that most people don't have to go to court. Most people don't. And I learned that going through my process. They made me go through, not only was I in that percentile of people who went to court, but I was in that percentile of people who were really difficult. They had to go through extra steps, extra counseling. You have to go through court, like classes. It boils down to individuals. It boils down to the grown-ups. And if you have a grown-up who can't play well with others, let's just put it that way, you have to go through all this stuff. And then depending on what state you're in, it doesn't really matter. It's like it's already been established. Although that seems to be changing. But, I mean, it's really difficult for men. It's really, and I keep hearing these stories out here talking about deadbeat dads and this and that. I wasn't seeing that. I'm seeing men spending a lot of money trying to desperately be involved in their children's lives, trying to be able to parent. Like why is our society coming in and removing a parent's right to parent? I mean, it is what it is, and there are different reasons for that, and we'll get into that. We'll definitely get into that. And Sister Jenny, like, that's an interesting stat. Yeah, it is. Now, again, take this with a grain of salt. This isn't coming from like a government site or anything like that. So when anything I read online, I take with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? I run it through my own little mental think tank, you know what I mean, to see if it makes sense. You know what I mean? Because if you run it through the old
think tank, Arch, nothing gets past the old think tank. Nothing.
You run it through the think tank, nothing should get past you, right? So parents settle over 90% of child custody cases outside of court. This stat I have heard before. I was in California going through the process, and this stat was beaten over my head. We had to go through this counseling, this what do you call that? Group counseling thing. It was court order. We had to go through that. And this is what the teacher of that course, or the clinician, or whatever the term is, the person running that counseling session, this is what she was drilling into everyone's head. Most people don't need to go to court. And that's great for most people, but it's terrible for the court, because we'll find out the court makes money off of this process, custody and child support. It's not like the court just sitting back not getting paid. Was money involved. Whenever there's money involved, there's going to be problems, right? Ask any rapper. More money, more problems. According to a child custody stats, over 90% of child custody cases were resolved by the parents without a family court intervention. In other words, there was no need for a judge to decide who gets custody, just to approve the order based on agreement drawn up by the parents, right? And what they're not saying in this, a lot of times when you bring that agreement to the judge, in California, you got to go through a mediator. That mediator just takes it to the judge signs it, it's done. Other states, you still have to come before the judge. So when you come before the judge with this agreement, the judge is still trying to order some sort of child support. Even though all that's been worked out between the parents, the judge is trying to mandate some sort of child support. And I used to always ask myself, why? Like, why are they doing that? Again, you add money to the system, and we'll see some reasons why as we continue with this. But it's crazy. As of 2019, the divorce rate in the U.S. has declined by 2.7% per 1,000 residents. That makes sense because people aren't getting married. Right? People men aren't getting married. I mean, I'll just keep it 100. Men are looking at it as like, all right, no, I'm not trying to do that. It just doesn't matter. Like, why am I going to, in the red pill, the manosphere teaches this. Why are you getting married to the government? Why? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? It's a 50% chance that this relationship isn't going to work. And if it doesn't work, we already know what's going to happen to you, bro. You already know what time it is. You're going to lose the house, more likely. You're going to lose access to your kids, more likely. You're going to have to pay alimony, more likely. You're going to have to pay child support. Now, that was the case up until recently. There's a shift. There's a shift out there. Why? More women are in school than men. Women are beginning to make more money than men. Right? Even though they're not working as many hours or whatever, they're coming out with college degrees, and we all know that people with college degrees tend to make more money over the course of their lifetime than people without. Right? We've covered that on this platform. We've talked about this. I'm sure you guys heard this. It's a thing. So what's going on? You have a lot of women, these independent women are coming out getting bread. They get into these relationships, right? And the relationship doesn't work. The woman will file for divorce because 70 to 80% of divorces are filed by women. She'll get into the process thinking I'm finna clean up. And now, because she's the breadwinner, because she's making more money, right? Because all this stuff, she may lose the house. She may lose access to the kids. She may be on the hook for alimony. She may be on the hook for child support. We're seeing that with the top tier earners, female earners. You're seeing that with Halle Berry, Kelly Clarkson. And then there's another one out there, R&B singer. She did the Super Bowl. What's her name? The R&B singer that did the Super Bowl with Dr. Dre and 50 Cent and all them. She's also paying child support. So, I mean, people were saying they're out there working hard because they got this child support order over them. And I can't remember her name right now. But it's R&B. She's R&B legend. She's like, man, Real Love. She did there you go. Mary J. Blige. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Candace. I just drew a blank. Couldn't remember her name. But yeah. So this is all becoming a thing. And based on this, we're starting to see a shift in the family law system, the family court system, which I've been saying this. I talked to Rollo Tomasi about this. We weren't personally talking about it. I haven't met Rollo yet, but I sent in a super chat when he was on a Fresh and Fit's platform, and I brought this up. I said, hey, do you see the laws changing? And because women are making more and everything I just stated here, and his response was no. I think it's going to change, not because it's the right thing to do, not because men are being, destroyed through this process, but because this is going to start to adversely affect women. And they're just going to change it because they don't want that. They're not going to make women, pay the kind of child support, alimony, and go through the sort of things that men had to go through. Right? Even though they've reached that status, like, okay, you want to be independent, you want to be like men, especially on financial footing. Okay, you're here. This relationship doesn't work out. I think they're going to start changing the laws, or at least change it. The judges are just going to change the way that they rule on these laws. So yeah, that's my take on that. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. What We Know podcast. Yes, definitely was Mary J. Blige. I'm going to keep dropping the link. If anybody wants to jump in and, share your thoughts on this, because this is definitely a good one, you're more than welcome. The divorce rate from 1990 to 2019 showed a decline in marriage dissolution in the U.S. The divorce rate reduced from 4.7 per 1,000 in 1990 to 2.7 divorce residents per 1,000 in 2019. Again, I believe these numbers are reflective of the fact that men aren't getting married. Men aren't getting married, and that's the fact that men are going their own way. They don't even want to deal with, what's going on with, the dating marketplace as it is right now, the sexual marketplace. And you have a substantial amount of men who don't know how to approach women. I talk about this all the time. We got a bunch of weirdo dudes out here. We got a lot of males. We got very few men. And these males are looking for answers, and they're paying. Like, they're finding people to follow. They're looking for leadership. Then you look at, the Fresh and Fits of the world. You look at Andrew Tate, Rich Cooper, the list goes on and on, like Coach Greg Adams. They're looking to these guys. Not only are they listening to these guys, but they are paying top dollar to get this information. Why? Because they don't know how to do it. They're not getting the results they want. It's real difficult for a lot of people a lot of guys, they're having a hard time with women. Right, because they don't understand hypergamy. They don't understand female dating strategy. They don't understand male dating strategy. They don't understand the 80-20 rule. There's a lot of things that they just don't understand. Right, their hygiene is poor. They're living at home with their mom and dad. They're not earners. They're not working. They haven't done the work. They haven't worked on themselves. All this is going on. So this is a part of it. They're not. Maybe those guys want to get married, but no woman's going to marry a loser. Let's just keep it 100. Right. So, there are 12.9 million custodial parents in the United States. Right. Child custody statistics from the U.S. Census Bureau report published in May of 2020 show that there are 12.9 million custodial parents in the U.S. living with 21.9 million children under 21 years of age. Like, again, as we all know, like we have seen, we have destroyed the nuclear family. This really, really affects our community. By that, I mean blacks, like African-American communities being hit hardest, but we're not the only community being hit. Right. The average child support received by custodial parents as of 2017 was $3,431. That's like the average. That's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I don't know if this is simply child support, or if this also includes like sometime a judge will order you, the non-custodial parent to pay extra. So your child support might be $1,000 and then they might add another $500 to that to pay for like childcare, like your half of childcare or whatever. There are things that have come up, which always blew my mind. I'm like, well, what's the original money for? If I'm paying $1,000 a month in child support, you mean to tell me that equation does not include child care? Really? We got to add to that? And that's completely at the judge's discretion. Who is this judge? What agenda is this judge pushing? This is a problem. You know what I mean? This is a real problem. So according to the U.S. Census Bureau in 2017, the average child support received by custodial parents from non-custodial parent counterparts was $3,431. Between 1993 and 2016, the child support average follows the obscurity pattern, increasing up from $4,675 in 2003 before dropping back down. Okay. You know what I mean? So, all right. So they're watching it. They're trying to see what it is. And keep in mind, again, 90% of couples don't go through this process. So they wouldn't know what agreement was made between the two parties if they didn't go through the court process. You know what I mean? Remember, like I said, the judges are always trying to issue an order, but when they don't, you know what I mean? Like the parents just take care of it, which that should be the case. You guys have children or whatever. All right, we'll take care of it. This is how we're going to break it down. They're going to be here. We're going to do this and I'll get the kids for this and you get the kids for that. And we'll pay for all this. We got medical, whatever. That's responsible. That's what most people should do. But, like I said, you got people who they don't play well with others and they make it difficult. It's grown up stuff. I tell my daughter this all the time. It's grown up stuff. You know what I mean? Sister Jenny, is that amount for the year? I will doubt it. I would seriously doubt it. It would be way too low for a yearly. I'm assuming this is per month, but if it is for the year, it's like nothing. It can't, because it doesn't specify. And that's the thing. It does not specify, but yeah, I don't know. That was a long time ago, from 1993 to 2016. And then, I don't know. But I know folks that get child support orders that are, here. I know people know the average child support orders like between $800 and $1,600, depending on how much they make, and then whatever else they want to tag on. The court may tag on to that. So, and again, child support in most states are based on your income and how much time you spend with the child. So that would be really low if that is annual. Like annually you're paying $3,500 a month in child support. That's crazy. But it could be that this doesn't specify. What we know, podcasts solely child support minus any arrears. Yes, that's just so, yeah. And they do tag that on there. They absolutely do tag on there for the year. Oh, that's for the year, huh? Wow, because I didn't pull that up. I didn't pull up the yearly breakdown. That's pretty low, I would imagine, but wow. Right, Sister Jenny, I think monthly is ridiculous, and for the year, too low. Yeah, it's, I know people who pay that. And then, because you look at these child support orders, yeah, think about it. There are people out there paying, $10, $15, $20, $30,000 or more a month in child support. I know it's not a lot of them, but there's enough. We see the high profile stuff with the stars, but there are also some, there are guys out there making $200,000, $300,000 a year. Right, their basic child support on that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $3,000, maybe $5,000, depending on how much exactly. There are calculators out there that would determine that. But I don't know. There are a lot more poor folks out there, so I don't know. Your brother Rob was saying that's for the year, and the average is between $250 to $400 a month. Okay, then that makes sense. Then yeah, that makes sense. But then so you have to add in arrears. Well, they always do that. It's always going to be some sort of add-on, be it arrears or there's always some sort of penalty and percentages that they get into. It's all part of the thing, which is crazy. And then it gets into like 79.9% of custodial parents in the United States were mothers. We kind of know what that is, but the number of fathers who were winning custodial privileges over their children, that number is steadily rising. You know, you're like only 4% of child custody cases require going to trial. Yet it's real hard to get the audience of a judge. And that's only for 4%. Just imagine if the 90% were going in there in the court. And it goes to show you again that the overwhelming majority of parents, they handle their grown up business. They work it out. But you do have people out there. There's a small percentage of people who are driven by money. Let's keep it 100. And they know they can go out there and use this system to get said money. You know what I mean? So if you're a person out there and you're having children just for money, I think you're evil. But that's just my opinion. And like I say, what do I know? I'm just an old man sitting in the attic talking to his computer. Just 4% of custody cases are between parents who cannot reach a settlement outside of the court and require a trial to set things straight. And then this goes into breakdown child custody stats by race. Nearly half of all black children live with a custodial parent. That's crazy. Like half of our kids were split, split households. I mean, I grew up like that. You know what I mean? To my knowledge, there was no money involved. There was no child support, but I grew up like that, split household. And everyone I knew, just about everyone I knew grew up like that. Would definitely love to see that change. You know what I mean? Reports show that approximately 48.8% of all black children live in families with their custodial parent, while their non-custodial parent lives outside their household. This means that divorce and separation disproportionately affects black families. We know that, right? That's definitely that's not nothing that we you know what I mean? That's not nothing that we have never heard. You know what I mean? So it's a sad stat, but it's true. You look at only 22.7% of white children live with a custodial parent. You know what I mean? There's just some communities seem to see the value in having both parents in the home, and maybe they figure it out, at least until the kids are grown. I've heard that before. Like, it is what it is. 28.7% of Hispanic children live with a custodial parent. You know what I mean? Like I said, it seems to hit us as African-American community, the black community, more than others. 13.6% of children from other races live with their custodial parents' families. Right. So it is what it is. 40% of states in the U.S. aim to give children equal time with each parent. This is important. This should be the law of the land. The primary issue in most custody battles is usually the time each parent gets to share with their child or children after the parents' relationships end. Custody scheduling or visitation times varies from state to state, but a study from 2018 shows that custody laws in more U.S. states now aim to give each parent equal time with their children. This is real important. This is where all the money is spent. Like people like me and others who go to court and they spend tens of thousands, 50, I know people who spend over hundreds of thousands of dollars just trying to get equal time with their child. Equal time. Like, you walk in the court system right off the rip, someone is not going to get to spend time with the child. And why is that? Well, because the money is based on how much time you spend with your children, your child. So there's a built-in incentive right off rip to keep one parent away from the child if the other parent is trying to get money. And to me, that's where the evilness comes in. So equal time is real important. Recent child custody statistics in the United States show that 40% of states now aim to give children equal time, 50% with each parent. The laws have provisions to account for complicated circumstances like convictions or long distance separations. Of course, these states like Alaska, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Maine, Minnesota, Florida, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. So these are the states that they see the problem, they understand what's going on, and they're trying to rectify the problem. I mean, that should be just a given. It's 50-50 right off rip, unless someone says I can't do it, or there are legal issues like criminal issues. You know, if this person has a criminal history, is a violent individual, whatever, that kind of stuff. But by and large, it should start 50-50. And then if one parent or the other says I can't do that, at least they were offered the opportunity. That should be the law. Once you say no, all right, then we go back to the system we have now. You know what I mean? But at least you got an opportunity. So, and I thought number 13 was crazy. Only 22% of red Republican states give equal custody time to both parents. I thought that was crazy. I'm like, yo, what's going on over there? This is why this topic is so important, because it touches every political spectrum in America. Every single one. This affects everybody. Sister Kansas, the family court system is no better than the prison system, with its promise to reform and rehabilitate. Right. Same thing in prison. They ain't trying to rehabilitate nobody. You go to prison, learn how to be a better criminal. That's it. You go into prison, you make connections all over the country, really all over the world these days, because America is steady snatching people out of different countries and locking them up over here. You go in there like a petty criminal, you come out a full-blown professional criminal. There's no rehabilitation in prison. None whatsoever. You know what I mean? Sister Jenny's like, that's insane. I know it is crazy. Only 22% of red states. That's crazy. Child custody facts and stats show that less than a quarter of Republican states distribute custody between parents equally, traditionally giving mothers more time than fathers. Studies tell us that red states are the least eager to grant 50% custody time to both parents. Some states in this category include Oklahoma, Tennessee, Utah, South Dakota, etc., which is funny because I came out of California, and it could have just been the judge that I had, but that judge, I sat there and watched. I would go into that courtroom and spend a lot of my free time just watching how this judge would rule. And that judge was not giving men custody of their kids. This judge was not even trying to give them anywhere near equal time with their kids. And once that initial ruling is set, it's almost impossible to break it. Even if that judge is, found to be impartial, they still won't change that because everything is based on that. Again, when money gets involved, they're not trying to do the right thing. They're trying to keep that bread, period. You got to take money. It's like you got to take money out of politics. You got to take money out of family court. Right. And then number 14 was saying about 40% of blue states give equal custody time to both parties. Isn't that weird? Right? It's like, come on, man. I thought red states was all about family and, truth and justice in the American way. But they want to keep children away from their fathers. That doesn't make any sense. Nearly twice as many Democratic states give equal custody time to both parents as Republican states do. Custody Exchange's survey on child custody cases statistics show that 40% of blue states reform their custody laws to equalize the time parents share with their children. Those states include New Mexico, Delaware, New Jersey, Massachusetts, etc. Notice they had to go in and change the law. They had to go in and change the law because the laws just were. It's not like this was just some plan to hurt men. Just the laws were just based on a time that we no longer live in. They're archaic, and it's just taken that long for the laws to catch up to society. But it's slowly catching, and I'm pretty sure there are people trying to keep this from happening. There are people that benefit from this, right? Attorneys benefit from this. States benefit from this, right? And then the other parent will benefit from this, whoever that parent is. You notice I'm not saying women or men. I'm saying the other parent, right? Because the law is the law. If you're a dude and you manage to get custody of your children, and the female, the mom, is out there making X amount of dollars, that you're gonna get that child support. The system works regardless of who the person is. The system is gender fluid. It's just the people who maintain the system, i.e. the judges, some of them will lean one way or the other. So you have to take away that ability from some of these judges. You have to keep them basically honest, and you can't, tie their hands unless there is X, and X being, violent criminal history, violent criminal past, current whatever, child endangerment issues, mental defects. Unless you got that, if that's not the case, then it's 50-50. That's how it should be. Right? Number 15, 59% of swing states give equal custody time to mothers and fathers. So you can see right here, 60% of swing states, 40% of Democratic states. You see where the trend is going. They want to make it fair. People understand that is not justice to remove one party's parental rights, especially the party that had no choice in the matter. Yeah, let's put that in there. You know what I mean? This whole Roe v. Wade thing, a lot of people have been asking me my take on it. How come you're not helping us women? How come you're not backing us? I'm like, why? I don't get a choice. I didn't get a choice. Right? I got beat 16 ways from Sunday over this. I never got a choice. No one asked me anything. So no, why should I come out here and back you? You get all kind of choices. People out here you mad now because the Supreme Court said, okay, now it's up to the states. Okay, fine. You can still fly to a option-friendly state and do whatever you need to do. Right? Still not asking the guy. Men have zero reproductive rights, period. That's just the way the game is right now. That's the rule. Okay, fine. Now you want me to help you because they're making you know, I'm talking as females now because they're taking away the female's right. Well, I don't have the right. So why should I fight for you to have it if you ain't gonna listen to me? You know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned, I believe in a woman's right to choose her body, her choice. But I also believe it should be my wallet, my choice. Shout out to Dave Chappelle. And if we're not going to do that, fine. Then no one gets a choice. We're going to go out here and mess around, have you do what we're going to do. We're going to smash, have relations. And if it ends in the pregnancy, we in the same boat. You know what I mean? It's illegal. This is it. This is the boat. And even then there'll be choices. In that situation, the female will have a choice to give her child up for adoptions, no questions asked. You won't have to pay for anything. But the male is going to have to pay regardless. He can't just walk away. That's fundamentally wrong. And that's something we should be looking at. If we care about justice. Now, if we don't care about justice, fine. Okay. You know what I mean? Cool. We'll deal with this a different way. So, and then it goes in and talks about the children as young as 14 may choose which parent they want to be with. You know, like, so we're going to let kids, you know, in Georgia, they were saying the kids could be as young as 12. We're going to let the kids come to the judge and say, hey, I want to live with mom or I want to live with dad, and give reasons why. Man, that's a lot of responsibility put on the child. Houses are already split. They got to be having all kind of pressure coming from both sides. And now this poor kid I could not imagine if my daughter had to sit there in a courtroom and tell a stranger which parent she wants to live with. I want to live with mommy or I want to live with daddy. That's horrible. That's horrible for a child to go through something like that. But that's where we are. You know what I mean? That's where we are. It gets into single fathers run 25% of households, 2,669 in Tennessee. Comparing mothers versus father custody statistics in Tennessee, the result shows that a quarter of all households in the state are single father households. Reports also show that the number of custodian fathers in Tennessee is increasing more quickly than that of single mothers. I wonder why that is. You know, Tennessee is definitely a red state. It's in the South. Something must be going on in Tennessee. That's definitely not the case for the rest of the bottom 48. But that's crazy. And you are starting to see more and more men get custody of their children. Not, you know, being named custodial parent and getting the majority of custody. You're starting to see that a lot in America, a lot. And a lot of that has to do probably with the attorney that you get and all that kind of stuff. Again, we're talking about 10% of the population that actually have to go through this. Now, remember, they've already established 90% of folks don't even go through this. They could just work it out. They're grown-ups. That's how it should be. Should be able to work it out. All right, let's do this. My daughter's mom and I, we co-parent. It works. It's not a problem. We do this, we do that. If she needs something, I'll definitely will help out if I can. It's not a big thing. You know what I mean? Because she wants what's best for her daughter. I got to respect that. So if whatever I could do for her, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, no questions asked, because I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for my daughter. I got to respect that. You know what I mean? So she's not out there trying to get as much money as she can. She's not out there trying to come up. She's not using her child as a means to get money. Like I said, anyone who has a kid simply because they're trying to get money is evil. You know what I mean? Evil. But that's crazy. The kids get to choose. Right? 13 states in the U.S. do not require a judge to consider a child's preference or custody. You know what I mean? So that's, again, you got a stranger, some person who don't know anybody, don't know anything about anything, could sit there and if the child feels compelled enough to come to the judge and like, listen, don't let me live over here. I don't like it over here. It's too much going on over here. I want to live over there. And the judge ain't got to listen to it. That shouldn't be a thing. But again, it's really hard, man. You just don't know with kids. Like kids, it's so tough to be a child. And if you have a parent getting into that child's head, you know, filling it up with all kind of stuff, it's just terrible. It's just terrible. It's just terrible. Sister Jenny, no taxes. Many people are leaving states with high state taxes, and Tennessee is one of those states, like Texas and Florida. Okay. I can see. I mean, yeah, I can see that. It says 37 states and Washington, D.C. requires a judge to consider a mature child's preference in custody. And this one was pretty interesting. From several surveys and facts about child custody, 3 and 4 states in the U.S. require a judge to consider a mature child's preference when making the final decisions on custody. However, depending on the child's age, the best interest, some judges will likely overrule this decision. Custody exchanges surveys show that mature age varies between state cases and even judges. While in states like California, New York, and West Virginia, 14-year-old children are deemed mature. Others like Mississippi, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas lower this bar to 12 years. So you got 12-year-olds deciding what parent they want to live with. In Georgia, children as old as 11 can state their options on the matter. Their opinions on the matter to the court, although they can't officially choose which parents they'll stay with until they are 14. That's a lot of power to get to a kid. A smart kid might be able to figure that out. You know, like, look, I'm about to be 14. You know what I mean? I'm about to be 14. You don't let me, you don't get me the latest, virtual reality rig, or you don't let me go over here and hang out with my friends until all late. Or if you don't let me, eat cake and ice cream 3 times a day, every day. You don't let me do these things, I'm going to tell the judge I want to live with mom. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Your children trying to finesse you, using this system against you. I wish my daughter would say something like that. I'll pack her bags for her. Come on, let's go. Bye. Go on over there then. You know what I mean? Don't try to be big unless you are big. That's how I look at it. And then they break down child custody by gender. 44.2% of custodial mothers in the U.S. are non-Hispanic white women, while 62.9% of custodial fathers are non-Hispanic white men. I mean, it's crazy that it just, along racial lines, these rulings show a lot about our country, yo. They show a whole lot. 40.4% of custodial mothers were never married. Like we said before, people aren't getting married. It used to be that you get pregnant, you would get married before the baby came. It was just family from the pressure from the family, pressure from the church, right? But people aren't close to their families anymore, it seems. No one goes to church really anymore, it seems. So our society has shifted. There's no pressure. There's no stigma to being a single mother. There's no stigma to it. In fact, it could be profitable, depending on who the father is. You know what I mean? So women are like, not going to get married. right? And you have a lot of guys who are not going to ask, like, I'm not going to marry her. I'm already on the hook for child support. Why put myself on the hook for alimony as well? So I can see that. I can see that. And I bet you this number is going to grow. That number is going to grow. 41.6% of custodial mothers in the United States are 40 years or older. Something like 60%, a little under 60% are younger. And we all know younger kids are having babies. Like, we know that. You know what I mean? Only 29.3% of custodial fathers in the U.S. were never married. Same thing. We know why. Well, we can deduct as to why. Sister Jenny is like, bring back the shotgun weddings. Please don't. Please don't. Not the shotgun wedding. But we need to do something. We need to do something. I don't know. Now that I think about it, shit, man, maybe we do need to bring that back. maybe that is the answer. If young women and boys, young boys and girls knew, like, man, we can mess around, but we get pregnant, they're gonna force us to get married. Maybe that'll stop some pregnancies. You know what I mean? Maybe. That's crazy. And but yeah, 54.6% of custodial fathers in the U.S. are 40 years or older. If these statistics are anything to go by, it means the odds of older fathers getting custody are significantly higher than that of fathers below 40 years old. Yeah, and why is that? Because the court is going to consider your earnings and what you have accomplished in life up to that point. You know what I mean? As we know, it takes men a while to build themselves up. Right? A man has to, women are born with their value, pretty much. That's what the red pill preaches. The women are born with their value and men have to create their value. I agree with that. I mean, if you're just born a beautiful woman, you're going to do well. As opposed to just being born a handsome guy, you still got to put in the work. And it takes time to build that up. You know what I mean? And now we're not going to be talking about game and all this other kind of stuff, but just out the chute. If you're born a beautiful woman, your life is going to be pretty cool. If you're born a beautiful man, you're still going to have to do some work. You know what I mean? And it goes on to how many fathers are, like there are over 2.5 million single fathers with custody in the U.S. That number is growing. 51.4% of custodial mothers have full-time jobs. Yes, because again, like we said, women are making more money. They're coming out of college, you know what I mean? They're doing well. 74.3% of custodial fathers have full-time jobs. Yeah, like I said, you got to build yourself up. You know what I mean? The proportion of custodial mothers with at least an associate's degree increased from 17.1% in 1994 to 33.8% in 2018. The numbers bear it all out. When there are more women in school, more women are completing school, women are more educated than men. And they would be absolutely killing this in the marketplace if they were getting into like STEM. But women like people and men tend to like things. So women are going to come out being teachers or nurses or something like that. Yeah, you're going to have some doctors and, some STEM people, some scientists and all that on the female side. But generally speaking, you know what I mean? Women choose these careers that don't necessarily pay as much as the STEM fields, but they're still going to be out earning the average guy. You know what I mean? So non-custodial divorced parent fathers in Republican states spend the least time, 32.1% with their children annually. Again, it's crazy what's going on in the red states. I don't understand that. Red states gave divorced dads the least time with their children, while some might argue that these are the states that favor mothers in custody cases. Recall that most red states do not offer a 50% time division between a custodial and non-custodial parent, whatever their gender. You know what I mean? So yeah, I get that. It's just hard. And then by contrast, non-custodial divorced fathers in Democratic states spend 36.6% of custody time with their children. Divorced fathers in blue states spend more time with their children than those in red states. Divorced dads in Democratic states spend an average of 3,200 hours with their kids, 400 hours more than dads in Republican states. Since 40% of Democrat states give 50% custody, time to both parents, there is little room for child custody gender bias in these stats. And that's the thing. There's a bias there. There's a bias there. And, some states are faster than others and, trying to even the playing field. But I think it's coming for the whole country. I mean, like I said, I know for a fact the politicians are talking about this behind closed doors, right? This is just something that is out there. They simply don't know how to address it, how to attack it, right? A lot of the politicians don't want to touch it because more women participate in the political system. Women are making more money. Women are donating more money. Women are more active politically than men, generally speaking. So they really don't want to hurt themselves by taking this benefit away from the female population. You know what I mean? So you really don't want to do that. Brother JT, what's good, bro? How you feeling, man? Welcome to the show, man. Welcome.
My man, what's going on, bro?
Nothing, man. Having a talk, doing what we said we was gonna do, man. Had to definitely bring this up.
Yeah, man. I'm taking a little break right quick from work. I said I had to come in and chime in with you.
Oh, cool. Since you got the break, man, I'll give you the floor, bro. Anything you wanted to, hit on while we got this time?
Well, no, I was just looking at the stats that you had, bro, and yeah, a lot of those stats are based off of solely child support. One of the biggest problems is not child support; it's the arrearage. Because when you're paying on child support and you have an arrearage, those are two different things. This is how they make in the in these 12 or 13 states where it's a felony for non-payment of child support. This is how they get through the loop. They can't actually make child support itself a felony, but they can make the arrearage a felony for whatever loop that they have in there. The child support is continuous. So, a lot of people will find it out once they've paid off their child support. So once your child, depending on what state you're in, depending on how old your child is, like in Michigan, if your child is 18 and a half or 18 and 2 months, child support stops. However, the arrearage doesn't. So that's where, they won't even, if your child support is added in with your arrearage, when you stop paying child support, they will just keep it the way the amount that you pay, they keep it the same way it is, and then they just apply what you owed on child support to the arrearage.
Now, where's that money go? No, it does. Obviously, the money doesn't go to the custodial parent, being mom in this case. The money doesn't go to the child, so the money just goes to the state.
No. I'm saying if you owe. See, most people, if they owe child support and it's mandatory, a lot of times it's because the custodian parent was on some type of state assistance.
Oh, that's
right. But I'm speaking on straight child support where you owe just child support, not to the state or anything else. What it does is it goes to the child support. It just goes over to the arrearage. That's all.
Okay. Yeah.
So and then they don't lessen how much it is. They just keep it the same amount, and then it's kind of like you'll be paying double on the arrearage and on just arrearage and child support.
That's absolutely wrong, and they know it. And that's the thing that gets me.
Yeah.
We're talking about this thing. This is like the worst kept secret in America. Like, we know this is wrong, but yet it still happens. And, like I was saying, a lot of politicians don't want to do anything about it because women make up the majority of their active constituency. Like, the guys don't seem to really saying shit.
Yeah. And that's where, when you have people trying to argue, how effective child support is and who gets paid and all that. I can show you, man, the service fees. I can show you they have this other thing that they have they charge the women a service when they arrest the other parent, and there's a fee that's tacked onto that
Wow.
for them to go. So, and a lot of women act like that they don't know what they're doing because they have to sign something. I know, and like I said, this is in the state of Michigan and about another 12 or 11 other states that makes it a felony. It's only about 12 or 13. I can't remember the exact number, but it's about 12 or 13 states where child support is a felony. So out of 50 states, that's why a lot of people don't understand, the hustle and bustle of it, because they haven't seen how bad it gets. And in Michigan, it's terrible. It was I think it was 2001 when they started it, where they made it a felony. And man, when I tell you the amount of money that they got in one day, just in one day, they made the arrears, like part of the arrears, that was part of your bail. So they would tell you how much you owe in arrears, and then they would tell you what it is that you have to pay that goes towards the payment in your arrearage to get out of jail. So that was your bail. They called that your bail.
Damn.
They was making, it was like one day, man, in the courts, they had at least it was an all day thing for like 2 weeks. It was just an all day thing. You know how normally they have Wednesday is this trial date, or Wednesday is this day where you have a hearing. Thursday is this date where you just cause, all these different things. They didn't have it that time. They had the whole week of just having that felony go through. Man, when you're talking about in a day, you're talking about 2,000, 3,000 people. Can you imagine that, how fast those court dates were going? I mean, those, when you have to talk to the judge, it was at a time when the judge was talking to 4 or 5 people at the same time.
It's just like arraignment. They just bring them in they just change family court into
arraignment.
They
all were arraignments. And he had like 4 or 5 people at the same time, just knocking them all out for the arraignments.
Man,
and they were doing that all day.
And they sitting there, bail set at the amount of your arrears, which
whatever
is
fraction.
This much.
Yeah, they had one guy, man. He owed 100,000, over 100,000 in arrears, right? The judge told him to get out. He had to come up with 9,000.
Stamp 10%. Basically,
he told him 9,000, and this dude didn't have a job or nothing. So the judge told him if he don't pay, then he's going to have to, spend 4 months in jail. And that doesn't go towards, that time in jail doesn't go towards the child support.
And it
still accumulates.
Right. So that's crazy.
It was like this. Yeah, that's crazy.
We're going to make you sit down for 4 months. We're going to make you sit down for 4 months. And when you come out, you're going to owe us $125,000.
Yeah. And it was a felony punishable to up to 4 years.
That is
crazy. And they still got it in Michigan. And they still have it in Michigan.
And Sister Jenny put it up there. She was like, the following 12 states, failure to pay support is a felony: Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Mississippi, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oregon, and Utah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I hope that number gets smaller. I mean, I hope, again, the Supreme Court might have to step in on this. The feds might have to come in and start changing this, because that doesn't make any sense. So they're going to lock you up and make money on you being in jail because you fell behind on your child support. You're going to come out, you still owe the money. If you can't find a job to pay this stuff, they're going to put you back in jail. When does it ever stop?
It won't. And now check this out. They will put you in jail, and they will put you on this thing called, you'll get the work program and all that. That's like $900 for for that program. It doesn't go towards child support. Then they have one where you can be on a tether. Why would you put a person on a tether? And that's $1,700 for that, for however long. And that's only if you're on for 6 months. It's more than that if they have you more than 6 months.
That's
So, and that
crazy.
money doesn't go towards child support. It doesn't go. So when they say that it's about the child, there's a real big, there's something that's missing right there, because none of that has anything to do with the child
Yeah, it's a huge
at all.
disconnect. It's a huge disconnect. And we, like, again, whenever money is involved, right, we already know it ain't about the child or whatever. It's all about that bread. Sister Candace is saying they incarcerate you for non-payment. So not only is this another method of criminalizing our people, but it keeps fathers away from their children. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I mean, it's just, we going to lock you up. We going to make money off of you being locked up, but none of that money goes towards the reason why we locked you up in the first place. That should be wrong.
That is crazy, man. And you know what was crazy? I was just telling somebody this the other day. I said, I've seen situations where you had a man that was paying child support on somebody that was paying child support on that person that was paying child support too. So you had all three of them, grandfather, the father, and the son, all three of them in jail for on child support.
That's so sad, bro.
This is
so
crazy.
Sad. That's so sad. So here's
Three
the thing.
generations.
3 generations. And here's the thing. If you're going to do something like this, you want to lock you, we're going to take this serious. We're going to lock you up. We're not going to let you discharge this through bankruptcy. Sounds like you can't. So it's like your child supporting student loans can't be done away with through bankruptcy. But we're not going to set up a program where you can come out and work. I mean, could you imagine that? Like, look, go ahead.
Child support trumps the government. So you would have to say, if you owe and you had some money that was being garnished, right? The government, they yield the garnishment for child support. So that's the first people to get their money in the garnishment. Then it's the government. Is there anything else that ever trumped the government when it comes down to garnishing anybody else's wages? That's how much power it is, man.
That's crazy.
They trump the government.
Yeah, this stuff I didn't know, man. The next show we do, whoever's gonna do it next week, I'm definitely gonna jump on. I'm gonna try to get some more information on this and have that ready, because I didn't even think to look that part up, bro. And that's major. That's major, JT. That's crazy.
And so when you got these people that's out here trying to debunk certain myths, it's like, no, man. When we tell you that it's corrupted, and a lot of people don't understand how corrupted the system is. They don't really know the impact on what it's doing, not just to smaller families. It's like generations. Like I was telling you, you had a man in jail for on support on a man that was his son that was also in jail for on support on another child too. It's like, what we doing, man?
For real. The numbers are staggering. And I do know this. I do know that, like, when you deal with the child support agencies, you're paying, the agency that takes this money, whatever. I do know that is a private business. I was under the impression that was a government arm. Like, oh, this must be the enforcement arm for the family court. No, the state is in business with this entity, which is the child support, the collectors or whatever. And that blew my mind. I'm sitting
and
there
most of those guys are judges and lawyers, and that's the thing. They end up changing. They're actually judges and lawyers, and they come up and they get a debt collecting company. The same way how you build a regular debt collecting company, that's what they do. Why wouldn't anybody think that would have been possible for somebody to say, well, that's an easy way for us to make money? And if you see the fees, you will see that those fees are a lot. I don't know. And this is what's crazy. So if you have state benefits through, EBT, anything that you owe, medical, Medicaid, whatever, through there, the women still don't make enough money to pay, because somebody got to pay them back.
Right.
Somebody has to pay them back. So that's why they will put the whole onus on the other parent. That's not the custodial parent, but that's not fair either. This is why you would have a man and a woman living in the same house, and she has a child by him, and she's on state assistance. She has to make a decision, right? Do I don't put him on state assistance and not collect my money, or do I keep, if I put him on and I get that money, do I make sure that because they're gonna come after him for child support. That's why you hear a lot of dudes say, I'm gonna put myself on child support, because that's the reason why they would do it.
Exactly.
It's actually to keep her from getting in trouble for fraud.
Right, because she's taking money from the state. So my thing would be this. This would be my fix. If you're on state assistance, you can't be a custodial parent. If the non-custodial parent is not on state assistance, that person seems to be more financially stable to take care of that child, i.e. that's in the best interest of the child, i.e. that's the custodial parent. But if they did that, they couldn't get money.
They couldn't get the money, right? And we talk about billions. We ain't talking about a couple of 100,000. We talk about billions yearly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, just the legal aspect of it. I saw a documentary some years back, and they were talking about.
Hold on for one moment, man. I'm gonna leave you for just a minute.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna mute your mic for a second, bro. So yeah, I watched a documentary that talked about this, and the legal system alone is making like tens of billions of dollars a year, just the attorneys and all that, the system, how the system works. So I just think it's insane that we have this system. I mean, if you're a grown up, you can't take care of yourself, so you need assistance from the state, and you have a child, and the other parent of that child is financially capable of taking care of said child and themselves, why wouldn't the state award that child to the parent who makes the money? I just don't understand that. I simply don't understand that. That is one of the things Sister Candace says. None of this makes sense because there is no accountability in how child support payments are used. This too is what's wrong with the system. Yes. And like I said, and it doesn't matter where you sit politically, this is something that affects each and every American. So I don't understand, like, because we talked about politically doing something about this, Brother JT, and like I was saying before, this is it. This is the issue that everyone could get behind. We just have to be, we just have to be careful how we approach it. We need to embrace everyone and be careful not to push away anyone, because this is something that could be fixed ASAP. You know what I mean? Because these are simple fixes along the way can make it way different, but you have to expose the money. Like, where's this money going? It's going to these states. Okay, who owns these entities that are collecting the money? Oh, they're privately held. They're in business with the state. Judges and attorneys are sitting on the boards. Like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
And you have to question, why would they put that on my credit report? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just like if you owe, I don't know the term. They have a term for it too. I can't remember the term that they have for it, but when they're looking at your credit report and you have arrearage, it's absolutely on there. On your credit report. It's not on all three. I take that back. I think it's on the Experian. It's not on all three of them, but it's on one of them.
Well, I'll check as soon as this show's over.
Which one.
I'll pull up all three of mine and see if I can find it. I'll check as soon as this is over, and and I'll let you know. But it's because I monitor my credit closely, which we all should. People, we should all.
Yes, mine is right at. All I got to do is right now while I'm looking at you, I can pull mine up.
Yep, absolutely. Everyone should have that, and I would pull mine up, but I'm doing the show, so like as soon as this show's over, I'm pulling it up. But everyone should know what their credit score is. Everyone should know what's going on with their credit. I would even go to extra like it's hard for people to steal my identity because my credit's locked. You know what I mean? So you can't, if you manage to steal some identity and you try to open up something, it's not going to work because you can't pull my credit. I've locked it. Experian allows you to do that. So I suggest people do that. Like, because it's about to get crazy out here. Like y'all think it's bad now. Like, this is about to get, old people know what I'm talking about. It's going to be like the late 70s, early 80s right now with this inflation and everything that's going on with the Fed, and bro, people just don't realize it. So yeah, man, I'm gonna play a video. I'm gonna pull up this video. I don't know how much more time you have. I know you on lunch.
No, but go ahead, brother. I'm with you.
All right, let me pull up Here's a video I found on YouTube. And the video is entitled "Man Perfectly Explains Family Court." And Brother JT, it's a lot of text on this, so you can hear the guy, but it's a lot of text that they show as he's talking. I don't know if you're watching it on your phone or whatever, but it's really powerful. Sister Jenny, because they cannot make money off parents working things out on their own, they need to have their hand in the piggy bank. Yeah, they got to have your hands in your pockets. That's what they do. It's all about the money, y'all. Whenever money is tied to this, it's about the money on all sides. Someone's going to get trampled. So I'm going to run this, y'all. I want y'all to check out this video and let me know what y'all think. Here we go.
Thank you. My name is Mark Ludwig. I do want to thank the members of the committee for taking the time to hear this issue, an extremely important one. Without going into all the details, out of respect for my son and his right to love his mom, shortly after my son was born, I went 204 days without seeing my son. At the end of that time, I was relegated to the equivalent of an every other weekend visitor. Shortly after that, I was diagnosed with a pretty large growth in my brain. We didn't know what my future was going to be like. And it dawned on me that at that point, if something were to happen to me, my son's mom would automatically get sole custody. But it also dawned on me, if the situation had been reversed, I would have automatically gotten sole custody of the very son that I was already only getting every other weekend.
And that's right. I want to pause it right there. Absolutely fair use. Thanks for that, Sister Candace. Fair use. Y'all know I'm still learning how to say the magic words around here. But right off rip, you see how this man goes in here and right away he is denied access to his child. First thing.
Right.
First
Right.
thing. Doesn't make any sense. And for people out there like this man isn't an African American or Latino American. No, this is an average, white guy out there doing right by the world.
Absolutely.
Man sitting there thinking I'm about to die. And he's thinking, wow, if she was about to die, then I would get that child right off rip, having not been in my child's life. I mean, he almost went a year without seeing his child. That I know how he feels. You know what I mean? I was forced to make probably the most difficult decision I ever made in my life. And it's around, it's about this topic. That's why this is so near and dear to me. No parent should ever be forced to make those type of decisions. And then go ahead.
No, it makes you, man, it makes you, really don't like the child's mother if they're going along with this. And you like, wow, like with myself, me and my ex-wife, I didn't have the disdain that I had for her before we went through the divorce, because for one, I didn't get a divorce, to get it. I mean, I didn't get married to get a divorce. And once she wanted that divorce, my whole premise was, well, you leave.
Right.
Leave the child with me. You go and leave. You don't want to be married anymore. You should not be making the decision for her not to be in her father's or her mother's life. This is the decision that you're making. I didn't make this decision. You did. You know how people say, well, it was mutual that we broke up. It wasn't mutual that we broke up. It wasn't like I was begging her to stay.
Right.
But you're tearing up the family. However, she felt that she was entitled automatically. And a lot of other people did too.
Well, she knew the law. That's what it boils down to. They knew
And
the
she
law.
was part of the system. She used to work for the state.
Oh, she really knew the law.
So when you're looking at that, it makes it, man, it's just being a man. I can speak from a man's point of view. It puts you in a really crazy situation where you're like, I'm not trying to fight against you to the point where I'm going to, it's like she's snitching.
Right. Well, it's a lose-lose situation. As a man,
lose.
It's lose-lose.
You fight back. You fight back and then you win. It still don't feel like you win because you ain't trying to do nothing to harm her. Because at the end of the day, if it got to a point where I had custody of the kids and I put her on child support and it was tearing her life up, guess what I still end up doing? Making sure her life was still straight.
Right. Right.
I wouldn't have never even tried to put on child support at all. It would have been it's us, you know. And then we have to discuss it as adults. It's me and my kids, and me and you gonna have to discuss how we gonna have this taken care of. Period. Because they still need both of us in their life. Because my whole thing was, man, it was a lot of stuff that she did that I couldn't do because we both were working, but we had two different types of schedules. Once it started getting to a point where I was unavailable for a lot of things because of what my job demanded of me as far as my time. So, and a lot of men are in that situation. This is why when you have people, you know, that's going through divorce, or if they're just going through this child custody, it's all different ones, man. But I'm speaking just of mine. I didn't have any kids with like a girlfriend or something like that. This was actually somebody that I built a life with. And the whole thing that we built got destroyed, along with having, and we only had one child at that time, and she was pregnant during the divorce, the whole process of the divorce. So it was just a whole lot of things where I was like, and I knew nothing about the court system at all. I was ignorant. I was a 100% infant to the court system. And they handed me my ass because I wasn't trying to fight like that. I wasn't even in that capacity at that time to try to fight. And people kept saying, man, you got to fight for your kids. You got to fight. I'm like, what are you talking about? I just want to be in my kids' fucking life. That's what I've been taking care of them. I'm going to continue to take care of them. But I'm not doing what she's trying to demand me to do. This is crazy. And, you know, it was just, I didn't know exactly what to do at that time. I learned through trial and error. You know, lo and behold, 20 years later, I'm way more wiser than would I ever be. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, I wasn't. That was crazy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I get it. Sister Jenny is saying it's not knowing the law. It's taking advantage of the shortcuts. And I agree with her there. And I want to point something out to you. I just want to remind everybody, 90% of the grown folks who go through this, they don't need to go to court. 90% of folks just come up with their own agreement and it's fine. We're talking about 10%. And of that 10%, it's probably maybe 2 or 3%, less than 5% go through what me and Brother JT have gone through. I just want people to understand that. We're not talking about the vast majority of folks. Right. And then, you know, when one of the things when people say they, you know, fight for your kid, I'm real cautious to use that word. I'm real slow to use that word fight because, you know, we're warrior dudes. Right. You know, for those who don't know, JT served the United States Army as well. We're warriors. Yep. Fight means something completely different to us. And, you know, if the men who wound up in this situation really decided to, quote unquote, fight, it will be a whole nother situation out there.
Whole different situation, bro.
Be a whole different situation. And I don't think that people realize, our system realize more, and more to the point, the women involved in the system, I don't think they realize the type of damage men can do. And they got to understand that these men are restraining themselves. Yeah. You know, because this hurts.
You got to fight with rules and all these different things and emotions and all this. It's like, no, if I'm fighting, I'm indifferent right now. I have a whole different. So when somebody told me fight, I'm like, what you talking about is me being indifferent. I can't be indifferent because guess what? My kids are still attached to their mom. Yep. So I had to go through trial and error, how to figure out how to deal with this. And a lot of men don't know how to deal with that type of thing, man.
They sure don't. They lose it. They lose it. And you're sadly, you're starting to see some dudes lose it. I don't even want to talk about what they do, how violent they get. You know what I mean? But we all know the stories. And you know what I mean? It's out there. So this is all part of it. This is another reason why we need to fix this system. Sister Candace says, thank you for your service, Brother JT. Sister Candace is a military family, you know what I mean? Navy wife, you know what I mean? All around good folk.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
So I'm going to continue the video.
All right.
Why would it take the death of a parent to convert from an every other weekend visitor to having full custody of a child? If that's the case, shouldn't both parents have 50-50? As a result of my story being televised on a news station in St. Louis, my story went viral. I think it's been 30 million views or something like that. And I started doing a lot of Facebook Lives. And my reach now is around 3 to 4 million in an average month. This past year I did a tour of 38 cities in 24 states. And this isn't about me at all. This is about a fact that obviously this issue resonates. If we're attracting 3 to 4 million people every single month that are paying attention to this, and as you look behind me at all the people that are affected, this is resonating, and it's the only issue in 30 years that I've been around the political arena that crosses gender lines, crosses racial lines, crosses political lines, crosses socioeconomic lines. It affects everybody.
And he's right about that. Now, there's a graphic they put up here. And Brother JT, I don't know if you can see it because I think you're out and about moving around. But the Social Security Act of 1975 contains Title 4D, a federal law that in part requires every state to manage a child support enforcement program. And this is what I'm talking about. That program is privately held. It's not a state entity. It's not a federal entity. It's a private business, for-profit business.
Yes.
To help fund these programs, the federal government provides money to each state. These funds help cover the operational costs involved in child support enforcement, including establishing orders, enforcement efforts, and tracking and reporting. The Child Support Division of the Office of Attorney General is the official Title 4D agency in Texas. Our purpose is to help ensure that children receive the support they need and deserve. Okay, that's what they say, but this is what JD was talking about. They charge fees for services, and this is it. This is where the money. And it's crazy how that works, and they think that nothing's gonna go wrong.
Yeah,
and they think nothing's going wrong. So we're gonna continue real quick. We'll continue with the video
because we already know half of all marriages end in divorce. And for children, they have two traumas that they're dealing with. Trauma one is mom and dad aren't together. They don't know why, but they're very confused because they love both of them. Now add into that confusion, only one of them do they get to see on a regular basis. The other one is relegated as a visitor, which
is horrible. And they have another graphic here. Title 4D funding has caused great grief to those families trying to get a fair hearing, and that's in quotes, in family court. The family court judges, attorneys, what's this? Ad litetums? I don't know what that is, y'all. Y'all know my education is limited. Thank you, Cincinnati Public Schools. Psychologist benefits from Title 4D funding. The funds are given to the states on collection of child support. There is no incentive to grant the best parent custody, but to examine which parent can pay child support. Right there, that's what we were talking about earlier. This is important as every dollar of child support collected is matched by Title 4D funding. So there it is right there. You always follow the money. What's the incentive? Why are they doing this? Because they're getting paid. It's matched dollar for dollar. So I'm going to max out on who we know these child support orders, right? This is why the person who's on public assistance gets custody of the child and the person who has a job doesn't. Because child support is, because it's based on how much time you spend with your kid. And like they just said, we need to make sure the person who can afford to pay child support does not get the child. So we can max out that child support. It's like you said, brother. So that money is coming to them. This is crazy. Every dollar of child support collected is matched by Title 4D funding. So the less money they bring in, the less money they get from the feds. Wow.
And it gets way more deeper than that, because you got to remember also, we all have a Social Security card. So we all are actually warded to the state anyway. This is why we can go and get put in jail. This is why you got people that's going to prison also. So when the custodian parent is on state aid, they get housing, they get food, just like, and shout out to the brother Tommy Sotomayor. This is why they call him, that's your daddy. That's the parent that took over the actual parent that's supposed to be. So a lot of people don't understand that this is why they can get away with a lot of these things, but because they understand that the majority of us are ignorant to what the laws are. This is how they can implement what family court is versus regular court, because those are two different courts.
Yes,
But
they
once
are.
you start, once you have an arrearage, now not most states, I'm sorry, in about 13, 12, I think she said 12 states that it was, that's why they can turn it into a felony. It could also be a misdemeanor also. So what we're looking at is a system that needs to be broken down. And the only way we'll be able to do this effectively is that we have to have some of these lawyers, these family court lawyers, and some of these criminal lawyers to actually be, one of the guys to be able to spearhead it on a legal sense. Because it's a lot of other things that once you start breaking into this system, breaking it down, man, it's going to be a lot of loopholes that's going to come out. And then what do you do if you don't have the lawyers and judges and all these different things? A lot of it right now, man, that we have to do, we have to get the ear, like what my man did. I seen this one that you showing. I seen it before, and I said I was going to do a show about it a while ago. But Tommy Sotomayor also has a documentary on this called A Fatherless in America. Man, I'm telling you, it shows exactly what's happening with us. You have women and men that talks about not having their father in their life. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I mean, we need them both. I mean, we need that to grow up effectively. I did have my father involved in my life. We were in the same house. We were not that, but he was heavily influencing my life. I had my mom heavily influencing my life. Had my cousins, my aunts. Right, I had a village. But we don't have that anymore, and this is a problem. So I'll continue. We're about halfway through this video. I'll continue, and then we'll begin to wrap it up.
Makes one parent in their mind the superior parent, and one parent's the inferior parent. Now imagine that to a 7-year-old child or a 5-year-old child that doesn't know how to verbalize this confusion. And we wonder why, when we look at the statistics, between 70 and 94% of violent crime rates, incarceration rates, high school dropouts, behavioral problems, substance abuse problems can all be tracked to growing up, in many cases without the father. But this is technically gender neutral. I'll fight just as hard for a mother as I will for a father. But the situation can be solved so easy by starting the case with a 50-50. In every other area of law, we start out with a due process that says people are innocent until proven guilty. And yet we walk into a courtroom and one parent is presumed to have the upper hand in most cases. Many of my followers and just about everybody in the room behind me will verify, most people I talk to say, you know what, I didn't have as much animosity for my ex.
And I mean, they're going on with a couple of, they have some text. And it says here, the family court system receives no fiscal benefit from federal government unless child support is collected. And again, an incentive to push these child support orders. I just wanted to stop it real quick there because we see what the problem is, y'all. It's the money. So let's continue.
As much animosity for my ex until I met with my first family law attorney. And they told me that, look, in our state, you're probably not going to get 50-50. One of you is going to win and one of you is going to lose. So unless you want to be the one that loses, you better start digging up dirt to prove why you're the better parent. And that creates this adversarial relationship. And that's why these court cases are drug out for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, a year. That's why, as we just heard, people settle. People aren't settling because they're glad that the arrangement, they're settling because they ran out of money and they don't have an attorney to keep fighting for them. Can you imagine how different it would be if those parents would walk into an attorney and the first words out of that attorney's mouth are, look, in our state, you're probably both going to get 50-50. So you might want to learn how to work together and how to co-parent for the betterment of your child. And now all that money, instead of going to the attorney's college fund, can go to their own college fund for their own kids, instead of having one parent ripped out of that child's life.
I mean, he's got a point, man. I'm over 50K throughout this process. It's been 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 4 years going on 5 years. I'm over 50K. And that's crazy. That money is just gone. And I looked at that money. I remember 1 year, all the money that went, the money that I paid, the money that the other party paid, and just to attorneys. I'm like, damn, all that money's gone. So it's like we're going through this process. The other party's not getting anything. Every dollar she made, she had to pay $1.50.
Yeah.
So all, you know what I mean? All that money and then some went to the attorney. And it went to the court system. So everyone's making money except for the two people involved.
Right. And a lot of people, and like he was saying that the courts, they drag this along just so they can drain you out of your money.
Yep.
Just so they can do that. They have these places that literally they got them specifically for men that are having problems with child support. But you got to have a $10,000 retainer in order to retain a lot of these specialty places.
Yep.
And it's still no guarantee that you're going to get what you want out of it. It's crazy.
And the first thing they have you do is fill out an income statement. Make it fill out how much you make, where you work, what kind of real estate holdings you have, what kind of stock holdings. They look at every way they can take money. Okay, this guy is worth X, so we could get him down to here. You know what I mean? Just making up numbers and say he's worth $1 million. All right, we could probably get $700,000 out of this guy. That's how they look at it.
That's how they look at it. Absolutely.
And, you know, it's backed by, it's a corrupt system, but they all eating. You know what I mean? So we'll finish this video up.
And so to continue on a path and not in any way putting down the previous speakers, but to think that we're doing okay with our children across America and in the state of Pennsylvania, that people are settling and everything is fine, is almost like Mr. Magoo driving down the street, thinking that everything's fine while everybody's running off the road behind him because he's cutting them off. That's the situation that we're in right now. And
it has a text here that says you would do better to represent yourself and save the money. Your chances of success actually improve when you do, but there are no guarantees. I would not advise anyone to go into any court system without an attorney, especially this court system. I see what they're saying, but it depends on who you are dealing with, right? And if you're in that 90% who just grown-ups who can work it out, that's fine. You don't need an attorney. Y'all come up with your agreement. Normally you go into the mediator or right before the judge, you have your document all done up. That doesn't, you don't need an attorney for that. But if you're dealing with a part of this, like the one parent or the other is a problem, you need an attorney, because that first order is going to dictate how it goes. And it's really hard to overturn the first order. You need to understand something about family court. People lie in there. That's all they do is lie. The attorneys in California call family court liar's court. The attorneys lie in family court. Y'all think I'm playing? The attorneys have no problem perjuring themselves because they know it's not going to get pursued. They don't care. They will sit there and tell a lie. And if you try to prove that they did it, the judge will shut you down because the judge know they lying. You know what I mean? I got transcripts from the first time I walked in there. I'm sitting there lying. The judge knew the other party was lying, even said so. This can't be right. Your numbers don't make any sense. But that's okay. That's fine. They accepted those numbers. So no, you need an attorney when you go in there.
Now let me tell you this. I had attorneys tell me that I was better off going into that court without them. I'm just wasting my money. I've had attorneys tell me that. You just wasting your money getting me. This is what's going to happen. This is what they're going to do. Now, if you want to get something different, you're going to have to spend, and they refer you to what I was just telling you about, those specialty attorneys that specializes for men. And when you go there and talk to them, the first thing they tell you is that it's going to be a $10,000 retainer fee. This is how terrible it is right now. So you damn if you do and you damn if you don't.
And that's just a retainer. They go through that 10 quick. You're going to have to come up with another 5, then another 3. Before you know it, you're 50,000 in.
Every motion, every research that they have to get, everything. When they talking with the other attorney, they're charging you for everything. Just to talk, it's going to cost about $250 right off the rip.
At least.
Just for them to be talking. No motion set, no nothing.
Yeah, the average hourly cost for a family law attorney in LA now is getting close to $500 an hour.
The attorney I had, old white guy, told me. He told me it's better for you to just quit your job and get on public assistance. That's what he told me.
That's insane.
Every one of these attorneys had something negative to say about me when it came down to that. You make too much money. This is how much they're going to get at a minimum. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. Man, I was held in contempt at least 6 times because I was frustrated. I cussed the judge out, cussed my own lawyer out. I
That's
cussed
crazy.
her out. It was just that frustration, man. I'm telling you, you going into that court system, it's going to hand you your ass if you go in there, even with or without. And I'm just speaking on in Michigan. I don't know about any other state, but it's terrible.
I can tell you about California. I heard the exact same thing. I heard it from half a dozen attorneys. You make too much money. I'm like, what does that mean? We in California. What does too much money mean? I heard the exact same thing. Right. Same thing. Went through the exact same process you went through. Like I said, I'm sitting there, I'm looking across the aisle, and this attorney is lying. A lie I could prove. Right? Like her client lied all the time, multiple times. And I'm sitting there and I'm just watching this process. The family court system was so bad. I've only had a panic attack once in my life. I was sitting outside those chamber doors, waiting to go in. I didn't know what was going on with me. People, I'm from the streets. I'm no stranger to people trying to take my life. I joined the Army to jump out of airplanes. This is what I wanted to do. I went to war. This is what I wanted to do. They couldn't stop me from going. They were like, you're your mother's only child. You don't have to go. Man, I'm airborne. I'm going. I did all that. I never in my life experienced a panic attack. I used to make fun of people who said it was a thing until it happened to me. Waiting to go in here fighting to be a part of my son's life. You know what I mean? And it's a kind of fight that it was just hard for me to have. Like Brother JT lost it, went off on them people. I just sat there and looked at them. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And in my mind, in my very military mind, in my street mind, I'm like, I know how to deal with this. I'm going to show y'all something because we always revert back to who we truly are. I'm like, I'm about to show y'all something. You know what I mean? I ain't getting loud. I'm finna come see somebody. And I had to stop myself. That's how serious it got for me. I had to leave. Like, you know what? I need to leave because my daughter's going to lose. Not just my son. My daughter's going to lose. I got to go. And that's what I did. I had to move away. The toughest decision I ever made in my life. So you're absolutely right. I'm going to finish this video. We just got a couple minutes on the video, like 1 minute or so. Not even. I'm going to finish the video real quick and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
So I thank you so much for taking the time to hear this case, but I beg of you, please, for the kids of Pennsylvania, give them a chance to not have one of their parents ripped out of their lives.
Give them a chance to not have one of their parents ripped out of their lives.
Thanks so much.
Right? And this brother's out, he's in Pennsylvania. Brother JT's in Michigan. I was in California. It's the same story. Doesn't matter where you at.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how it's gonna go down.
And it's now it's a whole lot worse now, man, because you don't have people that were married. You don't even have people that know each other. So imagine how crazy it is now, where they're having kids. And you know, when you hear a lot of these folks, you had a girl, the woman, she's pregnant, and by the time that baby comes to fruition, they're not even together. You know, they're not even a couple or anything. So now you got a man that don't really know the woman he got pregnant. You got a woman that really don't know the man she got pregnant. So the only thing they will have is that court between them. He don't know if he want to be with her or not. But she also, you know, she don't care if he want to be with her or not. She going to that court. She gonna get something out of it. And this is what's happening now. It gets worse and worse and worse, bro. It's not going to get any better until we have, for one, men to stand up and actually start at least getting to a point where they understand what the court is about. What they you know, what this child support is actually about, because it don't got nothing to do with these children at all.
Nothing to do with the children. And then so we're gonna wrap this up, but I'm coming back today at 6 to do part 2. We're going to talk about solutions. So we see what the problem is. We've established this. We see what's going on here. So I'm going to come back and we're going to try to come up with some solutions. It'll be in the evening, so maybe it'll be some more people home. Maybe we'll have some more folks willing to jump on and actually, let us know how they think, what they're thinking, how they feel. But yeah, so thanks for rocking with me. Brother JT, tell everybody who you are and where they can find you.
I am JT from the What We Know podcast. You can find me and my boy Rob. We actually go live on Saturday nights at 9:30. Absolutely come on in. We also have an open panel after we do our little thing, and then we let everybody come on in, man, and get their thoughts on either, video breakdowns, or sometimes we just bring up random conversations. But it always comes down to trying to build a better community and having better relationships with one another, whether it's intimate or family or whatever, man. So I implore everybody to come on over to my me and Rob's channel, What We Know podcast, and subscribe and like our videos, man. We got some pretty interesting videos also. So yeah, that's what it's about, man.
So please go over there and support, like, and subscribe what they got over there, like What We Know podcast with Brother Rob and JT. I know I'm over there doing everything I can, man. And hey, y'all talked about Woman King yet?
We haven't. I haven't went to go watch it yet. I'm supposed to go tomorrow, man, and check it out. So absolutely, I'm gonna go check it out, and then we definitely gonna be talking about it. I've been seeing people giving their going out and talking about it themselves, but I have not listened to anybody yet because I want to go see it for myself before I can give my opinion about it. So yeah,
definitely hit me up, man. I did a show on this podcast about warrior women of history, and I brought my buddy on who is an expert, subject matter expert, and I asked him about this movie. And I'm not going to tell you what he said, but from a historian's perspective, he was like, "Oh boy." So you check this out and then come back to me so we could talk about it, because I might talk about it tomorrow. I'm thinking maybe tomorrow evening I might jump on to talk about it. My dude's Fresh and Fit are gone for a week, so normally I try to go around their schedule, but they're not here for a week. So I'm just gonna be going. I'm gonna be going buck wild. I might even do it tonight. I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna bring it up. Thanks so much for jumping on here, brother. Man, I really appreciate it. And I appreciate everything you doing, man. Like I say that all my people out there doing good work, man. Keep leading from the front, brother. You know how we get down.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, bro. Most
all right, I'm gonna holler at you later.
All right, man. Holler back.
Peace. So there we have it. This is part one. Wanted to get out here and just talk about the family court system as we see it, as it is right now. And then this evening at I think I got it for 6:00. We're going to talk about solutions. What can be done? What should we be doing? How can we, as Americans, all of us, all communities are touched by this. Our future is our children, and we are hurting our children with this system. I know on my thumbnail I put men are being hurt by this, but women are being hurt too, and our children are being decimated by this. Right? We cannot monetize children, y'all. That is wrong. We know what's right and what's wrong. We understand that. We understand the difference between right and wrong. So why are we allowing this to be a thing? So if y'all ain't got nothing else to do, man, come back later on this evening and let's talk about this some more. Let's talk about some solutions, man, and what we can do about this. All right, I appreciate everybody coming through, hanging out. Sister Jenny, Sister Candace, thank y'all so much for being active. The brothers from the What We Know podcast, Brother Rob, Brother JT, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it. I mean, I really do. The views climbing here. We're going in the right direction. We're going to continue to grow this podcast and then make it relevant. And we're going to talk about, in this case, how we can make America better by protecting our family. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's all I got to say about that, y'all. I'm finished. Sister Jenny, have a great afternoon. You too, love. Thank you very much. Like I said, you're going to have that wrench in your next time you're on here. So come back this evening. You'll be able to do all that good mod stuff. So, yeah, I appreciate y'all coming out, supporting the brother. I'm DL Saint. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast, man. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Darn, that's the end.